Kurt Angle is arguably one of the greatest wrestlers to step foot inside a squared circle. From his debut in 1999 up until his first departure in 2006, Kurt no doubt gave us some moments, whether that being on the microphone or in a match. Now, I'm sure Kurt has his best moments during his first tenure in WWE. However, in what would end up being his final months of his first run in the company, one of those moments that Kurt has said himself that he wasn't too thrilled of was his time as part of the WWE's version of the revived ECW, something he has referred to as a demotion of sorts. Angle would get drafted to the show, and Kurt's time on the ECW brand didn't last for too long, only about 2 months to be precise. But how did the Olympic Gold Medalist do during his short tenure in the revival of ECW? Let's find out. I'll start off first by talking about the time Kurt Angle actually appeared in the original ECW back in 1996. Angle made an appearance for ECW, but he would leave almost immediately due to a controversial segment that involved Raven and his flock tying the Sandman to a cross. In the rise and fall of ECW, Kurt said that he was so offended by what he had seen, he told Paul Heyman that he was leaving and warned Paul that if he was shown on TV or if Kurt's name was mentioned during the same broadcast that involved the Raven Sandman segment that angered Kurt himself, then Angle would pursue legal action against ECW and Heyman. That never happened, and Kurt would not appear in the promotion called ECW for around 10 years. Jumping forward to 2006, in the lead up to the ECW One Night Stand pay-per-view, Paul Heyman was given 2 draft picks for his ECW roster. Rob Van Dam from Raw was one of those picks, and SmackDown's Kurt Angle was revealed as the second draft pick. Again, Angle has stated that he wasn't too pleased to be part of the WWE's version of ECW, which he felt like was a bit of a demotion to him. When asked about his time in WWE's ECW, Kurt stated that Vince McMahon wanted him to be the face of the ECW show. Angle also said that he was concerned that fans would not accept him in ECW as he worked a technical style in the ring and was not someone who frequently worked extreme or hardcore style matches a lot. So he felt that he would not fit in well with the theme of ECW, but McMahon insisted on Kurt still joining the brand, which Kurt agreed to, though he more than likely was a bit reluctant to do so. On the June 5th, 2006 episode of Monday Night Raw in Angle's hometown of Pittsburgh, Kurt cut a promo but was interrupted by Mick Foley, Edge and Lita. It was here that Angle was offering an open challenge for anyone to take him on at the One Night Stand pay-per-view. Kurt Angle began to ambush Edge and Foley until they retreated up the ramp with Lita. Whilst staring down the group from inside the ring, Randy Orton emerged from the crowd and RKO'd Angle to signify that he will answer Angle's challenge at the pay-per-view. In storyline, Orton wanted revenge on Kurt after the Olympic Gold Medalist broke Randy's ankle following their first round match of the King of the Ring tournament on SmackDown about 2 months earlier. At the WWE vs ECW head-to-head special, Kurt came to the ring and he spoke about Randy Orton and how Angle enjoyed breaking the Legend Killer's ankle. Randy came out and spoke about how he had to rehabilitate his ankle and he vowed to kill the legend of ECW. Later that night, Angle was part of Team ECW in the Battle Royal against Team WWE. Once Kurt was all alone for ECW, he did try to mount a comeback, but Randy Orton would end up eliminating him, and it was thought initially that WWE won the match, but Big Show defected to ECW by removing his Raw shirt. After he eliminated Randy Orton out of the ring to win for ECW, Kurt Angle re-entered the ring and he celebrated with the Big Show. I spoke about all this in more depth in my WWE ECW head-to-head video I did a while back. For those who haven't seen it, go and have a look at that video if you want to see what happened at the event. At One Night Stand, Angle and Orton met once again for their match, which went on for around 15 minutes, and the bout felt a bit above average. Kurt got the win for ECW when he made Randy submit to the ankle lock, but that wasn't the end of the feud. Interestingly, Angle got a highly positive reaction from the ECW fans in attendance at the pay-per-view, despite the fact that at the One Night Stand event 1 year earlier, he ripped into ECW and talked down about the organisation. So this crowd reaction at the 2006 event was somewhat surprising to me. On the premiere episode of ECW on the Sci-Fi Channel, Kurt Angle would go one-on-one against ECW original Justin Credible, and Angle made easy work of Credible in under 2 minutes. During his whole time on ECW, Angle began being referred to by the nickname The Wrestling Machine. On the June 20th episode of ECW, the Olympic Gold Medalist teamed up with the WWE and ECW champion Rob Van Dam against Raw's Edge and Randy Orton. Orton and Angle would clash one final time at the Raw pay-per-view Vengeance, where Edge would challenge Van Dam for the WWE Championship as well at the pay-per-view. RVD and Angle got the win in the tag team match after Van Dam pinned Edge. At Vengeance, Randy Orton and Kurt Angle opened up the pay-per-view with their one-on-one bout. This one I prefer over the One Night Stand match that the two men had, just being honest. The bout ended when Randy escaped from an ankle lock, which resulted in Angle hitting his head on an exposed turnbuckle, and then Randy nailed the RKO for the win. And that was the end of the Orton-Angle feud, and this was also Kurt's final WWE pay-per-view appearance of his first run in the WWE. On the episode of ECW following Vengeance, Angle took on Rob Van Dam in a non-title match. However, Kurt would lose the match, and after this bout, Angle disappeared from TV for the whole of July. He didn't cut any promos on TV, and there wasn't any matches or appearances on live shows that he took part in during the month of July. Kurt's next appearance was on the August 1st episode of ECW, which was held inside the Hammerstein Ballroom, the same venue where the One Night Stand pay-per-views were held. Angle squared off against the Brooklyn Brawler in yet another squash match, which Angle of course won. Then the following week, Kurt took on Sabu in a number 1 contenders bout, where the winner would face the Big Show for the ECW Championship at the 2006 SummerSlam. The match ended in a no contest after Rob Van Dam made his return from a 30-day suspension and attacked both Sabu and Angle with a steel chair. This resulted in a ladder match for the following week on ECW. However, Paul Heyman announced that Angle would not be competing in the ladder match due to suffering an injury, and thus the bout would be between just Sabu and RVD instead. Later in the show, Heyman, along with his enforcers, were backstage with the Big Show discussing the ladder match main event. All of a sudden, Kurt Angle emerged and attacked Heyman's enforcers, and when he got to Big Show, the enforcers, along with Show, grappled Angle to the floor, just as police officers then showed up and handcuffed Kurt. As Angle was being led away, Big Show shouted that he would press charges against the Olympic Gold Medalist, and this segment served as Kurt Angle's final televised appearance for WWE. Kurt's final match was at a house show the day prior, where he was victorious over Danny Doring, and approximately 2 weeks later, Angle requested his release from WWE, which was granted. On the August 29th edition of ECW, Joey Styles and Taz made mention about Kurt Angle and his release, where they played a video dedicated to Kurt, and both commentators confirmed by showing the WWE website that the Olympic gold medalist was truly gone for good. Kurt Angle stated that the reason for him asking for his release was down to the WWE not allowing him time off, and Kurt was competing with injuries, which he stated were a bit severe on some occasions, and this, according to Angle, resulted in him taking a large number of painkillers daily to try and help him through his mounting injuries. This would all lead up to a meeting with Vince McMahon, which Kurt claimed was a heated encounter. The story goes, according to Kurt himself, was that Angle walked into a production meeting that Vince and some producers were in, and he showed them the injuries that he had on his body, with Kurt telling McMahon that he wanted to speak with him in his office. When McMahon agreed to meet with Kurt in his office, Vince showed Kurt some text messages that Kurt himself had sent Vince, with some of the texts saying things to the effect of, "Vince, I'm gonna beat the hell out of you." Kurt Angle has claimed that he doesn't remember sending any texts to McMahon, as he was going through a phase of taking excessive amounts of painkillers, which he claims is the reason for not remembering sending any texts to Vince. McMahon apparently said to Kurt that if he wanted to beat him up, then do it right here, right now. Kurt didn't comply, and he left the WWE office all upset. Angle then came back into Vince's office in tears and told McMahon that he couldn't take it anymore, referring to his excessive schedule in WWE. Vince eventually agreed to let Kurt go from the company, and Kurt has stated that Vince would offer the same deal that he worked before in about 6 months' time should Angle choose to come back to WWE. Kurt Angle, of course, did not take up that offer of returning to WWE, and instead, Kurt made his way to TNA just 2 months after his release, and Kurt would stay with TNA up until 2016. In 2017, Kurt Angle would make his way back into the WWE. He would be inducted into the Hall of Fame by John Cena, and following that, Kurt would get announced as the general manager of Monday Night Raw, whilst also working matches here and there during his second run with the WWE. Our look back at Kurt Angle's time in ECW is all finished. It was clear that Angle was going through a tough time when he joined the brand, and he definitely was not in high spirits during his last couple of months in WWE. While he may have possibly been dealing with those mentioned issues way before he got sent to ECW, he definitely reached his breaking point during that time. Had the WWE not agreed to give him his release in 2006, then who knows what would have happened to Kurt Angle in an emotional and physical way. And that's that for today, guys. Thank you so kindly for watching.